Why in the world would there be a commandment in the Bible that specifically says, do not wear fabrics mixed with linen and wool?
All right, let's see it.
This can be found in Leviticus 19:19 and again in Deuteronomy 22:11.
Let's throw a few other passages in the mix while we're considering these. Specifically Exodus 28:6, as well as 39:2 and 5 and 8, and I think there are a couple other passages. But here's Exodus 28:6. They shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen skillfully worked. What does this have to do with mixing wool and linen? Well, if you look at the Hebrew, the words here that are translated blue and purple are techelet and argamon, which both refer to wool that has been dyed either blue or purple. So the priests are specifically instructed to make their ephod by mixing wool and linen yarn. So we've either got two different groups of authors. One group thinks it's bad to mix wool and linen, and another group does not. Or whatever this proscription on mixing wool and linen is, it only obtains for lay Israelites. It doesn't mean anything to priestly Israelites. And even Josephus noticed this at the end of the 1st century CE, because if you look at Josephus' Judean Antiquities, Book 4, Chapter 8, Paragraph 11, see Josephus says, "Let none of you wear raiment woven of wool and linen, for that is reserved for the priests alone." So if we're trying to figure out the logic behind this, we should take note of the fact that the Hebrew Bible both proscribes and prescribes the wearing of wool and linen. And if we're going to presuppose univocality, then the difference is whether you are a lay Israelite or you are a priestly Israelite.
So in 2003, a Jewish doctor, Dr. Heidi Yellen, was curious about this very thing. Why would God give such a command, and what was the meaning of it? So she did a study on the frequency of these fabrics. And before you go, whoa, that's some new age stuff, that is a measurement of the electromagnetic field in regards to these two fabrics. That is science, that is frequency, electromagnetic field. So when you hear that, don't immediately go, whoa, I don't deal with the frequency stuff. Listen.
But it's not science, it's pseudo-science. It's not science that wants to be legitimized, so it pretends to be science. No one I'm aware of has ever been able to track down this mysterious 2003 study that was ostensibly done by Yellen before she received either of her two doctorates, the first of which is a naturopathic medical doctorate from a school that has never been named as far as I'm aware, and the other is a theology doctorate from the Center for the Study of Biblical Research, which, as far as I can tell, is nowhere near being accredited and so cannot give out a legitimate doctorate. But I was able to find this description of this research that was published in 2013. And when we look at what Dr. Yellen has to say about this research, we see that she does not have the foggiest idea what she's talking about. So here on this page we have the paragraph in the red. It says, scientists have discovered that linen fibers reflect light. Stop the presses. The light energy aspect of living organisms has been measured by many individuals within the capital S scientific community. Nobel Prize-winning Dr. Otto Warburg identified signature frequency numbers of the average human at 70 to 90. So two problems here. No, he didn't. There's absolutely zero evidence that that ever happened. And 70 to 90 what? Let's find out. All results with numbers less than 50 were identified as the signature frequency of chronic disease. Any number less than 15 was identified with those having a diagnosed incurable condition such as cancer. That doesn't sound great. The measurement of linen fabric measures 5,000 signature frequency. Now, if you go find Dr. Yellen's website, there's an updated version of exactly this article that has changed this to say 5,000 signature frequencies, which, if you can imagine, is even more wrong because you're only identifying one signature frequency. But what we need is how many units there are within that frequency. You're not measuring multiple signature frequencies. But it gets worse. How do other fabrics compare? Plant fibers like cotton and hemp are not a healing fiber when measuring its signature energy output. Standard bleached and colored cotton measures 40 of energy. 40 what of energy? What kind of energy are we talking about here? Again, if you go look up the updated version, it says 40 units of energy, but we still haven't identified what unit that is. The good news is that organic unbleached cotton measures 100 angstroms, which is a normal but not a healing fiber. So angstroms are a very, very, very tiny fragment of a meter. This is a unit of distance, not a unit of frequency. Now, if you're measuring the wavelengths, they can be measured in angstroms, and 100 angstroms would be very, very short. So it goes on like this. This is not someone who is informed about wavelengths or about frequencies. This is not someone who has any grasp of science. This is someone who is trying to sound like they know what they're talking about and has absolutely no clue whatsoever. This is pure and utter nonsense. And the fit for this video has been Dipper Pines.